with Alice Eagly. She's professor of psychology at Northwestern University, and she's here as part of the Women at Work Gender Conference at INSEAD. Thank you for being here.
I'm pleased to be here.
You describe yourself as advocating for a better relationship between scientists and gender advocates or advocates for social justice. First of all, what is the problem with that relationship now, and how can we improve it?
Often what happens is particular findings from studies that might be not that good, rather naive, get picked up and used by advocates in ways that misrepresent the scientific findings, or there's cherry picking. There was this study, actually there's 100 studies, and the one that seems to fit the narrative for the advocate is often used. So the prime example are some early studies by advocacy organizations that developed the business case, that just add women to your board and profits soar, maybe 50%. And so that is not really consistent with the research evidence at all. And it's awkward that these kind of simplistic findings become the basis for advocacy, because most social scientists are on the side of the advocates. But it's not helpful, I think, in the long term to misrepresent the science. Because it's ultimately exposed as, not good science, and it makes us look bad, the scientists, and then it's not really helpful because it doesn't work that way. Social scientists often get too quickly on board too. They have a finding and they want to use it right away, and maybe it's not replicable, for instance. Yeah, so we need to be more cautious. I think scientists need to stand back a little bit and not jump right on the bandwagon, and then, make a serious effort to communicate the range of findings and to have serious kinds of talks with people who are advocates.
And the data that you're presenting at the conference has to do with stereotype and public opinion data going back many decades.
Yes, gender stereotypes. We know a lot about gender stereotypes. But then people say they haven't changed. It's not a common topic in public opinion surveys. It's more of an occasional one, but we did find, after much searching, data going back to 1946. Up to 2015, so that's quite a span of years. We did find change, but not exactly what a lot of people expected. In terms of gender stereotypes, we talk about agency and communion, like men are the more go-getter, assertive, aggressive sex, and women are the nicer, kinder, more socially sensitive and skilled sex. Well, what we did was we looked at 3 aspects of stereotypes: agency, communion, and competence, which you can separate from agency. That would just be competent, intelligent, skilled. And we found no change on agency, actually. That was just there. People ascribe more agency to men, and it didn't change over time. But competence did. It started out women less than men on traits like intelligence. It soared in the other direction. So there are more people who would choose women than men as the more competent sex. And then communion, the nicer, kinder sex, has also soared. Women, even back in the 1940s, were seen as somewhat more communal than men, but now it's extreme. So it's not entirely puzzling, I think. Competence, well, women's education, as in the U.S. as in most Western countries, it exceeds that of men in the modern era, and most women are employed, so it's hard to say they're not smart. In fact, how do they get all those degrees? They must be kind of smart. But the communion is more challenging, and I think it has to do with the segregation of the occupational system, occupational segregation. So when women you know, en masse left the domestic role, the homemaker role, went into careers. It's overwhelmingly in communally and socially demanding areas of the labor force. You know, it's the nursing and healthcare and teaching and social work, customer service. All of these roles are very female-dominated.
It sounds to me, from what you're saying, that the general public opinion about women's competence has advanced faster than women themselves through the ranks, the echelons of the workplace. Is that fair to say? And if so, what accounts for the difference?
Well, women have progressed. You know, this is from being just in the home to being employed, and often carrying, you know, usually more of the home responsibility than men. And so just that sheer fact, combined with the educational advantage that has developed among women, I think that's what it is. And then as far as ascending in hierarchies, agency is critical. And women are still seen as less agentic, less likely to be ambitious and assertive and real go-getters.
So to climb the ranks, people assume you need a certain mindset or skill set that women are perceived not to have, even despite competence.
Less than men at any rate, yeah. As a broad generalization, that's what gender stereotypes are. Yeah, so sheer intelligence is not the only quality that would get you to rise in politics or corporate leadership.
That's great. Thank you very much.